going on, everybody? You are live with Osiris. Welcome to the Author's Lounge. The world is filled with storytellers, and I, along with my guests, are here today in the Author's Lounge to help educate and inspire the young generation of writers and creators. Now, my guests are professionals in publishing, writers from a wide range of formats, and successful entertainers. They will provide beneficial advice on what to do and what not to do on your path to success. So, without further ado, I'll present to you our next guest. Let's go.
I have another wonderful guest here with me today. But before I continue, and I feel like I've been saying this in the last few episodes, but I have to acknowledge Giovanna Vidal because she hooked me up with this one too. And had a great time with you, Giovanna, when you came onto the show. But I've been waiting a while for this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you, we have an actor, an author, and a life coach. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mrs. Katherine Norland. How you doing today?
Hi. Oh, I'm doing so well. Thank you. I'm blessed.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on board. So I know people have podcasts and they have shows where they can come in person in studios or they can come through these airways. So this is nothing new for what you do. You're used to being in front of a camera, but I am very much humbled and appreciative that you decided to come on board and give me a shot to just talk about the business as an author and as an actor and see how both blend in with your career and how you are able to navigate it with your own personal life and balance these entities on top of being a life coach as well. So let's see, where should I start? I'll first start with, how have you been able to really find a balance between writing and acting?
To be honest, I think that whole balance thing is false. I don't think you balance. I don't think there's such a thing. I think it's more like it goes in waves. And some days it's all about family, and some days it's like I'm going to go away to a hotel for 3 days and I'm going to write. And then some days I book an acting gig for 7 days in a row and I'm not doing any writing and I'm barely seeing my family. So it's just kind of like you fit in what you can, and you know, in LA, it's super easy to be busy 24 hours a day. There's so many projects you could do, so many things you could squeeze in, so many classes to take, casting director workshops, honing your craft, taking voice lessons, acting lessons, going to networking parties. You got to go see theater, so it's less about balance and more about boundaries. How much time am I going to give this? And sometimes having people in your life to help you see that balance, because without my family, without my husband, I would be a workaholic. I mean, some would still argue that I am, but my husband, I'd be working in my office late at night, and sometimes he'd text me like, hey, you going to spend time with the family today? You going to ever come out of like your cave? So like setting yourself boundaries, like, okay, this is me time, this is work time, this is family time. So it's not always a balance thing, but I think it is a boundary thing. And you know what? If I don't spend at least 2 hours with the kids each day, meaningful time, hopefully, then what am I doing? Because having all these accolades or winning more awards or, getting in the next whatever show, at the end of the day, if my kids hate me and felt like I was never there for them, who am I even going to share my glory with? Like, what is the point of that? So I think a lot of times as entertainers, as actors, as authors, sometimes the way we're built is that need, that crave for affection, for applause, for acceptance. Like, how did I do? Did I do good? You can see this when kids are on set. Oh, actually, even adult actors too. They'll do a take and it's so instinctual. As soon as they finish the take, automatically they look at the director. Like they're just waiting for the director to say, good job, moving on.
Yeah.
It's like that need for approval that I think is something a lot of artists struggle with, and it can trip them up.
You brought up a really good point, and I think it goes even deeper than what's on the surface, right? Like being on a set and performing your lines, whether you're on script or off script, and you're looking for that sense of approval. When I think about that, I think a lot about like the youth, particular teenagers, and for sure with adults, but in particular with teenagers, with social media and its crave and its focus on I need likes and I need hearts and I need retweets and refollows and X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's like very much a day and age where it's about seeking the approval of others versus seeking the approval within
Oof,
yourself. And I
so
think
true.
that, right, right. Like, what has your experience been like in regards to the approval factor, right? You seem like a confident person, and you've accomplished many things in your life, even written books, and the one I know that you have sent me about You Are Worthy speaks a lot deeper than maybe even to just family members or friends. It seems like the overall message is helping people seek their inner self and trying to not really rely on others to validate who you are as a person, but rather validate yourself. Well, what's that? If you can
Yeah.
kind of go a little deep into that for me.
Yeah, and a lot of my a lot of my You Are Worthy book is about that, how to stop sabotaging yourself and building everyone's dreams so you can step into your calling and live your purpose with confidence. I think a lot of times one of the main things that stops us is feeling like we're not good enough. Like we're looking around at
Mm-hmm.
others. There's this comparison thing happening. Oh, but they're better at this than me, and I got to look like them. I got to be thin like them. I got to have muscles like them. I got to have money like them. I got to have a house. It becomes this whole like competition thing. And I really believe, for me, I'm a person of faith, and
Mm-hmm.
I never liked myself until I started to read the Bible and see what God said about me. And when I
Mm-hmm.
saw He liked me, He said I was fearfully and wonderfully made. He said I was the head and not the tail, that I was above and not beneath, and learning all the things that like, if I'm going to listen to somebody's opinion about me, it should probably be the creator's. So I went through this,
Exactly.
I guess, for lack of better words, extreme makeover. And I wrote about this in my book, Poetic Prescriptions for Eternal Youth. I'm going to share this with you because I'm just going to bust out that poem right now because I feel like it's the approval thing we are all craving. So I wrote this poem called Extreme Makeover. That's in this book right there. We won't believe that we're not up to par when we discover who we truly are.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I thrive? What am I doing wrong? Blend into trends and still I don't belong? I've worked so hard and still I'm stuck. It's strange. Is something more extreme in need of change? 'Cause if I change my looks, then doors should open. I've purchased all the products, here's to hoping. I'll moisturize my eyes, seal up the cracks, get beauty sleep, but only on my back. Slough off dead skin and make my skin so soft. Fresh frocks with frumpy fashions doffed. With red eyes, I'm using stinging drops, and all accessories accent my tops. I sew in hair or buy the kind that clips. These Spanx are nice to squeeze my paunch and hips. This layered base hides well my freckled face. I'm contouring my nose, my cheeks, my jaw. For cardio, I do the treadmill march. These stencils use so brows have faultless arch. With perfect shadow shade, my peepers pop, then line and put false lashes on the top. I pinch my cheeks to find the best of blush, then blend with pink tones with my kabuki brush. For pouty lips, go matte or glossy wet, and makeup mist ensures my look is set. Oh, yes, some will lighten skin while I get tan. I picture photo shoots with blowing fans. $200 cuts. $200 cuts are held with spray. I'm gonna be somebody soon. Today, I don't know who I am or where I'll go. Wrong questions asked with answers I don't know. To fit successful molds, who should I be? I'm better off a stereotype than me. I've gained new muscles. My
Ooh.
old fat's been lost. In crisis of identity, I'm tossed. Is there something more out there? Yes, that I know. But getting there from here, how do I go? I keep on reaching, but I cannot grasp. I've talked to everyone who's left to ask. Tried teachers, gurus, all those seminars. I've called the psychics and they've read my stars. The question,
Ooh.
who am I? I'm scared to ask. What would I look like if I dropped my mask? To get approval, I've paid through the nose, paraded in the emperor's new clothes. In vain
Mm.
pursuit, my vision had been skewed, and all the while I didn't know I was nude. In outward transformation, I'm devout, yet restoration's best from inside out. I've never been more marvelous to see than when I let the Lord make over me. He wipes away
Mm.
false us from beauty bars and tells us just exactly who we are. When we have dropped ourselves and put on Him, we'll shine so bright wherever we are dim. The quickest way to
Mm.
find out who we are is first to know for sure just whose we are.
Mm. Oh, oh man. Oh man. Oh, oh,
That's my
oh,
thoughts on approval. That's a couple thoughts on approval.
hold on, wait a minute. Now you're not gonna just come here and spit and actually spit some bars. she was she was in here. Yo, she was in here spitting bars, dude.
I didn't warn you. I didn't warn you.
Oh boy, no, that was oh, yo, Catherine. Okay, I see why we accepted you at that freaking spot. Yes, you. That was exceptionally good. That was so good. That
Thank
was
you.
so. I know you don't need my approval, right? Like, kind of hence what we were talking about, but that was actually very, very good, and your
Thank you.
delivery. Yeah, like just the way that you like you increased and drop the vibrato and increased it up in the movements and
Mm.
everything. It almost seemed like it came like it was all coming from the top, even though it was something that you wrote.
Coming from the top, what does
Yeah,
that mean?
means that it means like you freestyled it, or it means that it was
Ah,
something that it was just coming out naturally, like in rhythm.
mm,
Where if you were
thank
in
you.
in a studio making music, you
Mm,
wouldn't necessarily have to have written it down. You're like in such a flow state that it's all coming out naturally and it's rhyming
gotcha.
with it as well. In
Mm,
this context, anyways, that's what it seemed like. Even though I know it was
cool.
written, you did it. You
Cool.
did it. It was well done. That was a powerful poem. I
Thank
had to
you.
cover my face and not react because I was trying not to react in the microphone. And wow, I appreciate the performance. I
Thank
got
you.
a live performance for free from Katherine freaking Norland, dude. Like,
Oh,
wow, I appreciate
thank
that.
you.
Um, okay, so let's talk about poetry now,
Oh,
because
segue.
yeah, yeah. Hey, segue, because poetry is a huge piece of me, huge piece of me, and
Yeah.
aside from writing your stories and aside from performing, it's poetry comes from such a vulnerable and deep place
Oof, it
that
sure does.
yeah, it can take a lot out of somebody. I wrote a poetry book that I published a couple of years ago that I haven't
Mm,
written another poetry book since because it took so much out of me. Do you experience something similar? Or if so, like what is that like when you write poetry in specifics? How much does it take out of
mm.
you for you to then feel fully recovered to write another poem?
Interesting. I've had the opposite experience. I feel like it gives me, I feel like it
Mm,
gives me life. Like when I write it, when I read it, I feel
yeah.
like it's like I'm finally expressing to the world. And there's so many times, like the biggest compliments I've gotten is from people who don't like poetry. They're like, I do not like poetry, but I like
Hmm.
yours. Or I don't even get poetry. I never buy it, but I love yours because I understand it. And
Yeah.
so I really try to write for the people, not the poetry snobs. Like
Mm-hmm.
probably a lot of my stuff would never get accepted into like a prestigious poetry thing. And sometimes I've gone to poetry groups and gatherings and they've actually made fun of me for writing rhyming poems. Like,
Yep.
oh, that's so nursery rhyme. Oh, we're above that. We don't we
Uh-huh.
don't rhyme.
Yep.
And so it's interesting that I get the people love it, but
Mm-hmm.
the educated, the literary people are like, oh, you're a rhyming poet. I don't even remember what your question was now. Oh, does
No,
it take something
so
out of me? Okay. It gives me
no, and you
life.
said, yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's a wonderful approach as well, with just with the ideology behind the poems, because for me, right, it took a lot out of me, but I also think I was
Mm,
going through something as well,
yeah.
that I was in a place mentally where I needed to just get rid of it, and then
Yes.
there's then no more. But I do love that, like listening to poems, and I love the idea of listening to the process of how other people create their poetry. But I'm with you as well. That tradition, that was half my reason. I know we spoke beforehand about um am I self-published or do I publish my own work? And
Yeah.
I had answered yes, because of that very reason. You can't necessarily bring it's poetry in specifics has such a unique style, because you really can't tweak the verbiage in it without actually interfering with the writer's voice. It can be a little
Yeah.
different if you're writing like a novel or in any sort of a story,
Sure.
but poetry has such a rhythm to it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not everybody is going to get your voice. I've been approached by people in other countries who want to translate my poetry books, and I'm thinking, how's that going to work in another language? It's because
Mhm.
the like you said, the cadence, the like iambic pentameter, the rhyme on the end. I'm like, how could they do? Maybe it's possible. I haven't
Mhm.
said yes to anyone who's asked me yet, but I think
Yeah.
it would be easier to translate non-rhyming poems into other languages.
Agreed. No, for sure.
Yeah,
Agree with you on that. It can become challenging when trying to go a route where you feel like your voice will be interrupted, or even like
yeah,
just tweaked as a whole. It kind of detracts from who you are as a person and the message that you're trying to appease to. And so it seems that, you know what? Let me just do it on my own. I know you had mentioned before too that you had a publisher who said, "Hey, hit me up when you have about 100,000 followers." But
hmm
when you get to that point, what's really the need for it? So like for you and your experience, right? Given that you've been on you've been you've been in front of the camera, you have you've amassed a following that people can see your name and can say, I'm going to watch what she's on, or they'll see your book and say, I'm going to read
mm.
what you have, just because it's Katherine Norland. Like for
Yeah.
you,
I
how?
don't think I've got that though. I don't think I've got the name recognition yet, but I've got maybe the face recognition. Like I
Okay.
look familiar. Oh, maybe I'll check her stuff. Oh, I think I know her from that show. Nobody knows my name yet.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm not name level famous. I'm like
I see.
micro
Okay.
celebrity, face recognizable, random strangers coming up to me in Costco giving me hugs, saying they love my love my work. But
Yeah.
nobody knows my
No, for
name
sure. Well, not yet. Not yet.
yet.
Building
Not
say
yet. Good.
yeah. Is it safe to say that you're building towards that, getting more of that name recognition?
I don't know. I used to have these plans and goals, and I have things that it'd be nice to do, but I stopped having like the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, because I realized at some point my plans aren't even as good as what like God has in store for me. So I've
Hmm.
taken my to-do list of hundreds of thousands of things I think I have to do to get the branding, get the recognition, get the things, and I've kind of like lay it out in front of God every morning when I have my quiet time. And it's like, what do you want me to do today? My agent says I need to do this. My manager says I need to do this. These people say this is how they made it. This is how you break through. This is how you get the, but like, you know me better than any of these people. What do you want me to do today? And I think surrendering my to-do list each day has made a big difference to just be spirit led in what I do. And so, I think, I went through a big period of time where I felt bad about myself. I felt down on myself for not having quote unquote made it in the sense that, oh, I'm this on this famous show that's, I have my own trailer, I've got, all this money coming in, this, I need bodyguards when I go places, whatever, feeling like, gosh, I haven't got to that level. I'm still, I hate the term starving artist, but I'm still like,
Mm.
Scraping by as most artists do. And I think I don't know if I mentioned to you, but I just finished putting together a collection of poetry that is about what it's like chasing a dream that doesn't chase you back. It's about my experience in over 20 years in Hollywood trying to break in and never quite, breaking the glass ceiling or whatever they say. So it's going to be interesting because it's about the night. A lot of people don't know that 98% of actors in SAG do not make a living at acting. And it's been such a weird thing for me because I go out in public, I get recognized all the time, almost every day I go out. And I went home this summer and I brought my youngest son to the swimming pool each day. And all these kids are coming up to me and wanting photos with me. And multiple times they said, "Oh my gosh, you're on that show. You must be rich." Multiple times. And I started thinking, I think there's this perception that if you're recognizable, you've got the bank account that goes with it. Whether you're an actor, an artist, even an influencer, they think, well, if you have hundreds of thousands of followers, you must just be making bank. And sometimes it's most of the time it's not true. So I've been dispelling that in a book I'm writing right now, tentatively titled Smoking Hopium. Because
Nice.
My other title might be Ramen Noodle Days, Red Carpet Nights, because it's all about the struggle. It's all about the
That'd
struggle
be
and
relatable.
the perception that it looks like versus the reality we actually face. So that was kind of a segue off, but it felt like I needed to share that.
I think that was an important message though, because it actually paints the real image of it doesn't necessarily matter. Like you've been doing this, you said, mentioned 20 years, right? This doing it for 2 decades and still feeling like you're at a point to where you're scraping. I'm just going to say this, right? Because I've heard this from my community, and I'm not somebody who really gets deep into race or anything like that. It's just, I grew up in a diverse culture. So, but there's this perception that people who are in the Black community don't really get it like that. And people who are in the community, if they are white Americans or white, whatever the case is, they have it easier. But I don't think that's the case in this regard. I think that
at least I haven't had that experience. I also grew up in a trailer park, and I have not had that experience. And I would say I would say every actor that I know personally has also not had the level of success, and that's every skin tone. Even the cutest white people with the best bodies, they still are like struggling. But that's part of the 98%. And there are, I think, challenges just being an artist, regardless of your skin tone, because so much is dependent on somebody giving you a job, somebody finding you worthy. Hello, you are worthy. Am I? But am I worthy if I'm not booking the big shows? Am I worthy if I identify as an actor and I still didn't make enough the last few years to pay my, to earn a pension in SAG? All these things that we tie our self-worth onto that maybe we shouldn't,
Right. That's heavy. That's real heavy because, having some buddies out there, right? Who, like I got a friend of mine. His name is Sam Humphreys, and I talked to him because he was in The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman, and one of the things that he talked about. But here, this perception that he's had from people that think that he's this huge, big time, like super celebrity guy. He will tell you like, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm a guy who got really fortunate and was able to work with you but this is kind of what my life looks like. He's such a he's a kind man. He's a
Mm,
really kind, sweet guy. But it's just, it's to your point that there's this perception that they see things like you have all these followers, or you've been in these movies, or you have these type of connections, and your life must be extravagant. And it may be,
yeah.
I guess extravagant is dependent on the perspective of the person and what they deem to be extravagant. But
Right.
I right, but I think I guess in the overall, or the overarching perception is that, hey, if they have these followers 100K plus, they must be rich and they must be famous. Cool.
Hmm.
But I love the idea of what your poetry book represents. Here are the struggles that I face, and I love that you painted a picture that it's not just for this. It's colorful. It knows no race and knows no identity. It really just depends on if people really find you to be worthy of it. And
Yeah.
is that a safe assumption to go by?
Well, I mean, so unless you're creating your own work and you're putting yourself out there and something hits, I really think it's human nature that if we've tried our best and done all we know to do,
Mm-hmm.
as humans, we try to make sense of things. We try to go, well, gosh, well, look, it's funny that you say that because like we watch shows and it does seem like, oh, most of the people on these shows are white, or most of the people. And so, yes, my darker skinned friends do have that feeling like, well, it's because of my skin tone. But then my light skinned friends or my white friends get like, oh, well, it's because they think it's the opposite. Sometimes they go, well, it's because I'm not an ethnicity. Everyone hates white people now. There's like this
Yeah,
anti
it's crazy.
what? So I hear both ends,
Mm-hmm.
and when the main shows. So here's what I hear actors talk about often. I've overheard this conversation so many times because studios they're trying to do more diversity. They're trying to open it up to all these different um, not only skin tones, cultures, how you identify, all that stuff, that a lot of times they still do cast most of the main characters as white. And whether that's because America is 60% white, or whether that's because the studio heads are and that's what they know, or whether
Mm-hmm.
whatever the reason is, whether that is because they're racist. I don't know the answer to that. But then the trickle down is then the small little roles, they're always looking for other ethnicities. This is what my white friends are saying. They're saying, well,
Mm-hmm.
because now they're trying to be diverse, now all the roles that we could have gone out for are now they got to throw in all the diversity. So I feel like whoever you are, you've always got something you think is stopping you. My heavy
Mm-hmm.
friends are saying I'm not skinny enough. My skinny
Mm-hmm.
friends are saying I'm not pretty enough. Or my gorgeous friends are saying, well, I'm not getting the role because I'm not sleeping. I won't sleep with the producer. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything, I'm just saying, everyone always tries to make sense of why they haven't made it, why they haven't broke through. And whether the reasons are legitimate or not, we never want we never want to think that we're not good enough, or that it's just not for us, or that other people are special and we're not. So we always try to come up with a reason why maybe we haven't made it yet. And
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if that's legit, that the reasons we think we haven't made it are truly the reasons we haven't made it, or that our
Right.
perception, which I think is more true, which I talk a lot about in my
Mm-hmm.
You Are Worthy book, we perceive that we're not good enough on some level, whether it is our looks, our weight, our height, our skin color, and that perception, we go into the audition already thinking I'm not good enough because of this, or they're not going to cast me because they are prejudiced, or we go in with these preconceived things and we don't have the freedom to be the artist we really need to be, because in the back of my mind that we're going, oh, they're judging us. And so we don't
Mm-hmm.
give it our best performance, and then it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. That was a lot. That was a lot. That was a
Wow.
tangent. Uh,
No, that was definitely not a tangent. That was,
okay.
you were preaching. You were preaching, and I'm just taken aback because it's good to hear it from someone else. Like, obviously I can't speak from that experience within within the film industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not in it the professional route where you are. Right now, I'll get to that point at some point, but I'm not there yet. But
Mm-hmm.
just just the ideology of just being defeated before you even enter the room because of
Yep.
these preconceived notions of whatever you think the case may be. And
Yeah.
I truly feel that, you know, the best way to go about it, at least now, is you just have to be diverse in your talent. You really can't. I mean, I've
Yes.
always heard, even like in the early 2000s, when I knew people who were trying to break into Hollywood, and they say, hey, you got to be
Mm-hmm.
a triple threat. You can't just stick to acting. You got to know how to sing. You got to have to know how to dance. You have to have other talents. And it seems even more so apparent now with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with just so much technology that now you have to have an idea of how to operate with AI. Like if you have that some knowledge on how to use it, you're a step ahead of the
Mm,
game. You may be able to help
mm,
somebody here. Yeah, if you know how to write music or write in general, then you could probably help somebody else out or combat the AI, or maybe they can produce AI work and then you can give it a human touch. There's so many
mm.
components to what's going on right now, and I think it really just
Yeah.
comes down to knowing what your skill set is, knowing where you can contribute, and then kind of pushing from there. But I think it can be debilitating when you've tried something for such a long period of time and you feel so attached to it, like acting, and you feel so I just want to know the role. I got some buddies out in LA as well, like one BJ Lane. I mentioned Sam, but BJ Lane, he's another guy I've known since we were in the military together. And
Mm,
he's living out there. He's like a regular, I think, with General Hospital, but he
nice.
is always looking for work. And he
Mm,
could tells me, oh, not I haven't spoken to him in a couple of weeks, but he's just always auditioning. It's not at the point where it's,
yeah.
hey, we're calling you, we got this part for you, you can come here, like a DiCaprio or Tom Hanks. It's nothing
Yeah.
like that. It's
Yeah.
just a constant grind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It is that constant grind. And you have to go into it believing in your skills and your ability, kind of piggybacking off what I just said. If you go into your auditions already defeated, already thinking, like when I struggled with self-worth before I figured out my self-worth issues,
Hmm.
I would go into audition rooms and think, oh, she's prettier than me. She's skinnier than me. She's younger than me. It's almost like, why am I even here? Like, why am I even going to bother? They're clearly going to get it. Or you're in the audition, you're in the waiting room, and you can hear how someone else is doing their take. And you're like, oh, I didn't think of doing it like that. Maybe they picked up on something in the script that maybe I need to change. And that all that doubt and second guessing
Hmm.
yourself, I think what you've got to do is throw everything out the window and trust your instincts. Trust that unique artistic ability that God gave you, whether it's in your writing or whether that's in your performance, your acting, your sculpting, whatever it is. Don't look to your left or your right and see what other people are doing. You be the most unique, creative. Be all you can be as yourself, not trying to be something else. And I
Hmm.
talk about this in my book, You Are Worthy. I remember once auditioning for this casting director, and the casting director was saying the worst thing you can do is try to figure out what we want. And I think as actors,
Mm.
we do that. Like, I wonder if they want it to be that. And we're trying to here it goes back to the approval thing. We're trying to get them to approve of us. We want to give the performance that we want. We want to make it like, so he compared it to like soda pop, and he said,
Hmm.
maybe your Diet Coke, and you think the role that they're looking for is Orange Crush. So you try your best to put some Orange Crush into your performance, but it tastes off. Like we're tasting like some
Hmm.
Diet Coke in there. It doesn't quite fit. So you've got to go in there being everything you can be. And this is early
Hmm.
on for performers, like especially when I was young and in my 20s in Hollywood, I get like a lawyer audition and then I'm like, ooh, I gotta like be a grown up. I have a young voice. I gotta like people have to like take me serious. So I'm going to put on my business suit. I'm going to put my hair in a bun, and you're almost playing dress up, putting on what you think they're looking for. Whereas if
Hmm.
you go into your auditions completely self-assured, I can remember one audition I walked into and I was so loving myself that day, so free. So like, I don't care whether I get this. And I walked in And I was like, hey, everyone, how are you? And I like just was greeting everyone. I had no like worry about whether I'd get the role or not. They
Mm.
actually took a role that I wasn't even auditioning for and they rewrote it for me. And it was supposed to be like an old 60-something-year-old executive
Mm.
and a man. And they rewrote it for me, you know? So I think
Yeah.
you go into a room and you bring you. There is no other Osiris out there, right? There is no
Mhm.
other you out there. And when you can be so feeling yourself, so
Yeah.
you bring joy to your performance, you doesn't matter if they like it. You go in there loving what you do. You lay it all on the table. You don't care what they think and you give it your all. They are going to sit up and take notice. Even if the choices
Mhm.
you make are completely wrong, they are going to sit up and take, like, whoa, what was that? We didn't see anybody coming in and doing this. All these guys
Mhm.
were trying to act like the detective. But Osiris, oh, I didn't see that. I've never seen a detective like
Yeah.
that. That would be a cool twist on this role and you just be good. Oh, I think of that Steve Martin quote. Be so good they can't deny you. Is that what his quote is? It's something
That
like
sounds
that.
a lot. That sounds pretty spot on.
Yeah, be so good they can't ignore you, I think it is.
Mhm.
And so you can't be worrying about what anybody else thinks of you, if you fit the role, if you look the part. They may just rewrite that whole dang thing for you because you brought
Mhm.
something so unique that nobody else did.
That is so well spoken, and it speaks to the idea that you should just be yourself, right?
Yeah.
You should don't put on like, and it goes back actually to the poem you were talking about that you had performed earlier in episode where it was I don't want to misquote it, but it was pretty much like you were more comfortable in a mask than you are as
Mm-hmm.
you, and I
Yep.
think that can kind of go along the lines of being a character in any sort of creative scope in film on stage. But even when you're writing, right? Like when you're writing a
Mm-hmm.
book and you are fully submerged into that story, you can lose
Yeah.
yourself into that as well. And
Yeah.
I would imagine when you wrote You Are Worthy, you were
Mm-hmm.
likely coming from a place so deep that is similar to where it came from when you did your poetry. So before
Mm-hmm.
I let you go out of here, I'll ask you a few more questions. But
Of
with
course.
writing You Are Worthy, what exactly was the process what actually triggered you to say, I need to write this book right now?
Yeah. Well, I struggled with self-worth issues my whole life. I never liked myself. I always thought I was ugly and fat and disgusting. I thought nobody would want to be my friend. When I felt compelled to become an actor, I took my first acting class and I write about this in the book. In my first acting class in Minneapolis, the teacher gave us this assignment that everybody had to come forward and they had to emote sadness. And the teacher's talking about
Mm.
we have 3 buckets of emotions: sadness, happiness, and I think the third was anger. And from those 3 buckets of emotions, you mix them together and you get all the rest of the emotions. So he wanted to make
Mm.
sure that we could come forward and emote sadness without saying a word. And I was like so scared. I was
Yeah.
like, everyone else went and I was like hiding behind other people, hoping that he wouldn't like call on me. And because I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I mean, I knew I had deep sadness inside me, but I didn't know how to like act or let it show. And then, and then I went up to the front and I got locked in and I started thinking of something that made me so sad. And in moments, I was like sobbing, like deep, guttural, like just like sobbing to the point where afterwards everybody was like, what was that? And the teacher was like, so how did you like, did your grandma die? Was there a fire? Like a tragedy?
Mhm.
Like, what happened? And I was just like, no, I was just picturing myself looking in the mirror. And then the room became dead silent. And people were like, some people started like laughing and giggling, like they weren't sure I like if I was making that up. But I had such deep self-hatred that I could literally bring myself to tears just by looking in the mirror. And so this, kind of is the antidote to that. It really, knowing who you are and what you're worth, and in the free gift I want to give your viewers, it's a set of 3 videos that I taught in my course. So I made a course called You Are Worthy as well, which is like a deeper dive into this. And it explores like how your worth cannot be earned, cannot be taken from you. It's not dependent on what others say of you. It's about your intrinsic value, just being this human that God created. And it's not dependent on anything you earn, any title you have, how much money you have, what you look like, any of that stuff. And when you can really lock into, I am enough as I am, whether I get this gold, this trophy, this spouse, this house, whatever. Once I know that, like, I am unstoppable. I will stop building everyone else's dreams and sabotaging my own, because I finally feel worthy to go after them. Whether I get the results I want or not is irrelevant. I now have the courage to go after the dreams God put in my heart. And I'm not scared anymore. I'm not shy anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of someone else being better than me. I can only do what I can do and then learn from it. So it's a book about freedom to be who you are and to love yourself just the way you are.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Now, where can people buy this book?
Oh,
You Are
yes.
Worthy.
So You Are Worthy is on Amazon, and I want to give you some of the videos from the online course that I made, and you can go to freegiftfromcoachkat.com. And it's on the corner of the book, freegiftfromcoachkat.com. So if you forget the website, if you go to like Amazon, you type in You Are Worthy, Katherine Norland, the website is on the cover of the book, because I wanted everybody to get that free gift. And for your listeners who maybe are also thinking about becoming an actor, dabbling in it, wanting to know what to do, how do I act on set? I am about to launch an online acting course called You Are Worthy. Called Acting and Having Fun. Acting and Having Fun. So if you go to actingandhavingfun.com, you can just type in your email address and get on the waiting list, and I will let you know when the acting course comes out.
That's going to be fun. Oh, that sounds like a lot. I might actually sign up for that too, just to be part of it. Is there how much does it cost?
I think it's going to be $297. Yeah, I haven't determined that totally yet, but I think it's going to be $297. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's
perfect.
A to Z, like how to be an actor, how to act on set, how to do the emotions. You're going to learn how to break down your scenes, how to hit your marks, how to know what type you are. So when you go get your headshots, you're getting the right type of headshots for your type. Yes. Like, it covers A to Z on how to be an actor.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for that. And one last question I got to ask before you head out is, since people have really got to know you through here, those who weren't familiar with you, who are familiar with you now, is there a link that you wouldn't mind sharing, or for social media or a website that they can people can follow you on?
Yeah. So if you want to follow me on social media, then I am Katherine Norland on YouTube. I have over 1,000 videos on my YouTube channel for you to enjoy. That's like life coaching, advice videos on pretty much every topic. And then I'm also Katherine Norland on Facebook, and I'm Kat Norland on TikTok, Katherine Norland on Instagram. And if you want to get on my email list, I send a couple emails out a week letting you know what I'm up to. I send links to different videos I'm in, or acting roles, or I let you know if I'm launching a new book or course or anything. You can actually just go download the free gift from coachkat.com, and that'll get you on my email list. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Check you out, Katherine. Yeah, you got it going on with your order and with your priorities. And I just have to say thank you for making me a priority today to do this and working me into your crazy busy schedule. I'm so grateful that you came on and you were able to make that work for me. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah, like any closing remarks before I let you go?
You know, I think the only thing standing in our way is our view of ourselves. It's not anything outwardly. It's not somebody not giving us the job. It's not our skin color. It's not our growing up in a trailer park. It's none of the outward things. It's all our mindset and whether we believe we can or we believe we can't, right? That Henry Ford quote. But there was I don't know the whole poem right now, but one line from a poem I read said, 2 men looked out of the jail cell bars. One saw the mud, one saw the stars. So it's all about where your focus is, even if you're locked up. It's not about your circumstances, it's about what you're focusing on. And if we start to focus on the things we want in life rather than the things we don't want, that's what we're going to get more of. So it's up to us. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really had a good time with you coming on board, and I very much enjoyed that poem. that was incredible. That was incredible.
Thank you so much.
Of course, Katherine. Hey, and thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to tune into today's episode. It was wonderful to have Katherine on board. Hey, but that's all I got for you all. So you all take care, and I'll see you next time.